Sejun screams, "What on earth is going on here?" as he fails to understand anything. But neither can he understand the rabbit's language, nor can they listen to him right now. They are all transformed into beasts with muscular bodies. As the rabbits bare their sharp fangs and claws, they roar loudly, and Sejun just stands there watching them in beast mode. But then the rabbit suddenly started to glow with a dazzling purple light. It is too bright for Sejun, and he closes his eyes as he tries to shield them from the blinding light. And then something even more unexpected happens. As the light starts to dim a little bit, the baby rabbits that had turned into beasts start transforming even further. But their features now resemble those of normal white farming rabbits, and their fur also seems to be glowing white. And then a rabbit jumps up in joy and says something. He has transformed into an adult white farming rabbit. And he is not alone. All his siblings have also transformed. 4 of them are white farming rabbits, and 1 of them is pitch black in color. And as the rabbits bounce around with joy, Sejun stares at them with his mouth wide open. He asks them what just happened, but the right words do not come out of his mouth. But then Sejun collects his thoughts and asks them if they have become adult rabbits now. They were larger than they were before the blue moon, and their fur had also turned white. And the rabbits happily affirm. Sejun now realizes that it must be a part of the farmer rabbit's growth cycle. It was the 4th blue moon night since they were born, and Sejun wonders if this was some kind of coming-of-age ceremony. Did the baby rabbits have to be left in the blue moonlight so that they could become adults? And the rabbits also try to tell Sejun that he was right. Sejun suddenly reflects on how he thought something was wrong with them. He covers his face with his hands and starts sobbing, and the rabbits are all shocked and worried. The black rabbit tries to console Sejun and wants him to not be sad anymore. And when Sejun sees his gesture, he thinks that the rabbit's nature is still the same as before. Sejun is overwhelmed by the cuteness of the rabbits who have just reached adulthood, and he stops behaving normally. He calls the rabbits little cute things, and he wants to give them retribution kisses. The rabbits panic and run away, but Sejun catches the black rabbit and smothers it with kisses. And he also tells the other rabbits not to run away from him. And then the blue moon finally passes, and everything returns to normal. The husband rabbit opens the door, and his wife is just behind him. And they see that their kids have grown up, and right now, they are sitting around a fire with Sejun. He waves to them, and the husband rabbit cannot stop smiling. The couple rushes to their kids and they hug them as Sejun fondly watches them. He wonders if he should prepare a coming-of-age feast for the rabbits as a gift. But then he notices one rabbit excitedly raising his hand while saying something. Sejun watches him carefully, and then out of nowhere, a shovel appears in his hand. The rabbit proudly displays it, and Sejun is surprised to see it. He asks what those were, because it was not the case with just one rabbit. All his siblings had something. One of the rabbits had gotten a sickle and a bandana. Another rabbit had gotten a cart, and he was hauling his black rabbit brother. One of the white rabbits had a watering can, and the one with the shovel was the first one to show his tool. The rabbits are glad to get their tools and affectionately show them while their parents enthusiastically clap for them. Sejun realizes what just happened. The rabbits could summon items. He understands that when the rabbits become adult farmer rabbits, they can have their own item. And he also knows that he can borrow the items. But then the white rabbit with a cart drops the black rabbit down. And Sejun wonders why the black rabbit is not summoning his tool. The black rabbit decides to summon his tool to show off too. And his tool is a huge wooden hammer, at least huge by rabbit standards. Sejun wonders why the black rabbit got a hammer. It was not a farming tool. But the black rabbit gives him attitude and tries to tell him that he is not ordinary. And then Sejun notices that the rabbit is indeed different from his siblings. While he could read their species as the white farmer rabbit, this one was not of the same kind. He was a warrior black rabbit, and as the rabbit hears his name being taken, he winks at Sejun. After a while, the rabbits start working at the farm. And now, the children are also working as much as their parents, and sometimes they are even outperforming them. The rabbit with the watering can is supporting his father in watering the plants. The one with the sickle quickly cuts the green onions, and even her mother is impressed by her skill. The rabbit with the cart is carrying tomatoes, and the one with the shovel is digging holes for new crops. The cart rabbit brings the tomato-laden cart to Sejun, and Sejun tells him to put the tomatoes in the nearby heap. He is near the storage and plans to do something with the tomatoes. As the cart rabbit goes off to get some more tomatoes, Sejun gets teary-eyed. He thinks that the rabbit children are now helping their parents with farming. Until yesterday, they were carefree kids who just ran around the farm having fun. And seeing the sudden maturity in their actions touches his heart. But then he sees that the black warrior rabbit was just lying next to him. Sejun turns to him and finds him eating tomatoes without a care. and Sejun thinks that this one was just unemployed. He starts talking with the black rabbit. Sejun says that since he was a warrior rabbit, his job was to fight. But since they are in the cave, there won't be any monsters that may harm the farm. In that case, the black rabbit had nothing to fight for. The black rabbit is also aware of this disappointing situation. And then Sejun says that his hammer could not even help them with farming, and he wonders what they should do. But then the black rabbit has an idea, and he tells Sejun about it. He leads him to the pond in the cave and excitedly points towards it. Sejun also exclaims that he was right, he could hunt in the pond. Hunting could also be considered one kind of fight, and Sejun thinks that even the warrior rabbit could be helpful now. He says that he will lure out the fish using the torch, and the rabbit will have to catch the fish. Sejun asks the black rabbit to show him the power of a warrior, and the rabbit is eager to start. Sejun frantically waves the torch over the boundary of the pond, and a piranha jumps out of the water straight towards the flame. Sejun tells the black rabbit that this is his chance, and he jumps up with his hammer, and then the black warrior rabbit strikes the fish with his full strength and sends it flying. The fish goes and crashes into the cave wall with a huge impact, and Sejun is stunned as he sees what has just happened. The black rabbit had attacked the fish with such great force that it was utterly destroyed, and pieces of its meat were falling down. The black rabbit turns back and gives Sejun a thumbs up, but he does not realize the mess that he has made. The fish had turned into mush, and apart from the head and the bones, everything else had turned into a meat slurry. Sejun is shocked beyond belief, and his reaction is justified. And later, when he presents the fish at dinner, it is a mood dampener. There is an air of gloom over the dinner, and Sejun and the black rabbit are the ones who are the most disappointed. And the other rabbits are also not happy that they have to eat a fish like this. Sejun tells the black rabbit that he will get better if he keeps on practicing. He tells him to not be sad and to eat the food now. And just like that, all the rabbits began getting used to their roles. Even the black warrior rabbit was getting more adept at catching fish after his initial failure. He can swiftly catch the fish with just his hands, and Sejun is cheering on him. The other rabbits are also busy with their jobs, and everything is going perfectly. Another day passes, and the 125th day comes. The 1-month cooldown period to open the seed store has been completed, and the store opens again. Sejun is also excited to see the seed store open again. He wonders what kind of crops he will be given this time and which one of the options he will choose. The system window tells Sejun that 3 random seeds that were being sold today will be shown to him. At his current level, he could purchase only one. The options are 50 sweet pumpkin seeds for 1 tower coin, 10 watermelon seeds for 5 tower coins, and 200 waxy corn seeds for 0.5 tower coins. And Sejun is flabbergasted to see the list of seeds this time. He says that the price of the currently listed seeds is much higher than the seeds of last time. He had only 0.9 tower coins left after purchasing the carrot seeds, and with that, Sejun could only buy the waxy corn seeds. Sejun ponders what he should do. If the seeds keep on getting expensive, he will have no money to buy anything the next time. And then he did not even have a way to increase his money while being stuck in this place. Sejun remembers that there were 3 ways to get tower coins inside the tower. The first was getting rewards for clearing a floor. The reward was high, but it was the first clear reward. That meant it could be obtained only once, and the hunters did not actually earn too much profit from it. The second method was to hunt the monsters and sell their body parts. The monster parts could be sold to either the traveling merchants or to the store on the first floor, and it was regarded as the best source of income for hunters, as they could make a continuous profit from it. The third method was to complete quests and get rewards for them, but that was the most gamble-like method out of the 3. The quest rewards varied greatly, so it was hard to say how much money could be earned. Sejun thinks of his situation. Among the 3 options, 2 were practically impossible for him. He could not even think about clearing the floors, as he could not even leave the cave. And then he thinks that the only way for him to get money is by completing the quests given by the tower manager. Sejun asks the tower manager if it can hear him, and he asks the tower manager if he could reward him with tower coins for clearing the quests right now. The tower manager replies, saying that he doesn't know what Sejun means, but it will give him whatever he asked for later when Sejun is all grown up. Sejun is confused. The tower manager did not know about the tower coins, and it said he would give them to Sejun when he grew up. Sejun casually asks the tower master how old it is, and the manager replies that it was a secret. Then Sejun asks another question. How long would he have to wait till he was recognized as a grown-up? And the tower manager replies that Sejun should be at least 300 years old. Sejun lashes out at the tower manager, asking if he's kidding him. He says that he will have to record all the tower coins he is to get and then inform his children about them. They will pass it on to their children, and this will go on for 300 years. And Sejun thinks his 7th generation grandchildren will receive the tower coins in his stead. And he is even more angry at the manager because, in this condition, Sejun has no chance to even have children. But the tower manager is not in the mood to listen to his rants, and the message windows disappear. Sejun also realizes that it's no use getting angry. It would be his loss if he got angry right now. But then he decides to do what he can right now to increase the chances of a comfortable survival. Sejun says that the only item he can purchase right now is the waxy corn seeds, and it was not a bad choice at all. Corn was delicious to steam and grill, and Sejun thinks that he can even grind it into flour and make something like bread here. And even though he doesn't know if the idea of making bread would work, he selects the option to buy the corn. The system tells Sejun that he has purchased 200 waxy corn seeds. 0.5 tower coins were being deducted from his seed bank account, and he had earned 5 seed miles, using which he could eventually level up the seed store. The cooldown period starts again, and the system tells Sejun that he can access the seed store again in 30 days. And with that, a cloth pouch filled with corn seeds falls into Sejun's hand. He empties a few seeds into his hand and shows them to the husband rabbit. Sejun asks what he thought about the seeds, were they looking good? And the husband rabbit thinks that they are of good quality. Sejun says that they should start working, and all the rabbits cheerfully join him. But then he completes his sentence and says that they should eat something before that. They roast the fish and eat tomatoes as sides, and Sejun has finally filled his empty stomach. He exclaims that he cannot eat any more, and he thinks that he should dry the rest of the fish and store it. The rabbits are also full, and they are also relaxing around the fire like Sejun. The poison honeybee also returns, and Sejun welcomes her. He asks the honeybee, who is spending a lot of time in this cave, if it will be okay if she does not return to her home. But the bee smiles and rubs her cheek against Sejun, as was her habit. Sejun says that it was alright, even if she doesn't go back to her home. He would be more than happy to permanently welcome her here. But then there is rustling at the entrance of the cave, and the antennas of the bee pick up something. Her happy expression changes to a serious one, and she flies up and faces the entrance with a mean look. And the black rabbit also does the same. He is ready with his hammer, as he has also sensed an intruder at the cave's entrance. Now Sejun also notices something moving, and he exclaims that it is a monster. The black warrior rabbit says something to the intruder angrily, and then the intruder replies. He asks everyone not to get him wrong. He was not a shameless cat who was here to steal their food. Sejun is shocked to find that it was a cat, and he wonders how a cat can talk. Next to him, the black rabbit and the poison honeybee are ready to fight, and the other rabbits are scared. Sejun asks the cat why he came here then, and in response, the cat jumps down and lands in front of Sejun. He is wearing a cape and carrying a small bag, and then he gets up and presents his paw to shake hands. The cat asks him if he is the customer Park Sejun, and then he introduces himself as the traveling merchant Theo. Sejun has yet another chapter to add to his diary about getting lost in the tower. He met a wandering cat merchant today, and as Sejun and Theo look at each other, they do not know how beneficial they are going to be for each other. Theo introducing himself as a wandering merchant to Sejun. But Sejun is shocked to see a talking cat, and the black warrior rabbit behind him is still suspicious of the cat. But then Sejun remembers that he heard that sometimes people meet a traveling merchant as they go up the tower. But he was not expecting the traveling merchant to be a cat. But Sejun finds the cat merchant quite adorable. He looks at his big and shiny eyes and his soft and chubby cheeks, and the soft, jelly-like paws of his outstretched hand. Sejun wants those jelly paws to knead on him, and he exclaims inside his mind that this was completely unfair. With a merchant so cute, it would be easy to scam people. And by people, he means himself. Sejun really liked cats, but as the cat merchant asks him if he is Park Sejun, he tries to act cool. He confirms his identity and then asks the merchant what he wants. Theo says that he heard about a new rookie who made transactions in the seed store, and he was here to greet him and make some deals with him. Sejun is curious about the deals and asks Theo more about them. The cat merchant rummages inside his bag and says that he has some pretty good items, but his stomach growls loudly, and now Theo is nervous. He apologizes to Sejun, saying that he had not eaten anything today, and he ended up showing an embarrassing image to a customer. As Theo nervously laughs about the silly thing, Sejun is staring at him curiously, and then he has an evil and mischievous grin on his face. It seems like he is up to something, probably something like taking advantage of the cat merchant. Sejun asks him if he heard his name correctly, was it Theo? And he offers him a roasted fish with a bright smile on his face. Theo is so shocked by the sudden offer that he meows out loud. His eyes glisten, his mouth drools, and his ears twitch as he looks at the delicious roasted fish. And Sejun asks him not to decline his offer. But Theo controls his hunger and tells Sejun that it's alright. He cannot touch a customer's food. Sejun is taken aback slightly and tries to convince the cat merchant again. He asks if Theo really does not want to eat it. He talks about the smell of the tender meat grilled on fire. As Sejun holds Theo's shoulder, he says that the fish had that distinct fishy flavor that cats can't refuse. And it seems like his words were working as Theo drooled over the fish again. Sejun says that it was obvious that Theo wanted it, and he could have it too. And as Sejun persuades him, Theo cannot stop drooling. He tries his best to stop himself from eating the fish, but as Sejun pushes it closer to him, he finally gives in. He eats a lot and is finally satisfied. Theo says that he is full now as he happily lays down on the ground, holding a fishbone. He says that the fish was so delicious, and now he was full. And Sejun tends to the fire while saying that Theo ate 5 fish. He must have been really hungry. Theo gets up and sincerely thanks Sejun. He says that he gave him such a nice treat, and he does not know how he can thank him enough. And Sejun smiles at him and says that it was no big deal. He should be the one who is thankful. After all, Theo came all the way here to meet him. And as Theo grabs his bag once again and starts talking about the deal, Sejun asks him for 0.5 tower coins. Theo asks him what he meant, and Sejun replies with a smile that he should pay for the roasted fish he just ate. Theo is shocked, and he panics as he asks Sejun if the fish wasn't free. And Sejun replies that nothing in this world is ever free. And since Theo said that he was here to make a deal, he was not going to eat his customer's fish and run away. As Sejun says, Theo is nervous, and then he looks around himself, and that nervousness increases. The black rabbit and the poison honeybee were ready with their weapons, and even the farming rabbits were ready to beat Theo if he tried to leave without paying. With tears in his eyes, Theo pays 0.5 tower coins to Sejun, and Sejun thanks him for that, even though he just scammed the poor cat. As he checks his balance, Sejun is happy that he got some tower coins, but Theo is dejected and sad as he realizes that he was scammed. He is crying because instead of earning money, he lost it. He came here to earn some money from the customer but ended up paying him. His business had already started at a loss, but then he brings his emotions under control. Theo is determined that he will not be defeated like this. He will definitely sell all his items here. He loudly says that it is his turn now, and he requests that Sejun look at his items. He opens the cloth bag and unfurls it to display the items he has. Theo proudly displays them and asks Sejun what he thinks of them. They were luxury items from another floor, and on the cloth, there are 3 items with their prices shown on an information window. The first is a tumbler worth 5 tower coins. Then there is a mini fan worth 5 tower coins. And lastly, there is a portable hand warmer that is also worth 5 tower coins. Sejun asks Theo if these items weren't from outside the tower, and he says that Sejun really noticed it. The rabbits also gather around them, and they are curious about the items. Theo starts his sales pitch and tells Sejun that the tumbler has preservation magic. It will maintain the temperature of the things kept inside it, whether they are hot or cold. Then he talks about the mini fan, which has a wind magic enchantment, and whenever they need wind, they can just press the buttons. As Theo demonstrates how the mini fan works, Sejun stares at him in disbelief. He apologizes for cutting off Theo when he was talking, but he had to tell him the truth about the items he was selling. The cat merchant asks what was wrong, and Sejun says that all the items he brought were trash. Theo is shocked and angry. He shouts at Sejun and asks him what he is talking about. These items were from outside the tower, and how could someone not recognize their value? As he says this, Theo collects his items close to himself, and even the rabbit next to him is disappointed. Sejun tells Theo that he was also someone who had come here from outside the tower, and the terrible truth dawns upon him as he loses his confidence. Sejun explains that there was no magic in the items he was trying to sell. The tumbler prevented heat transfer by blocking contact with the outside, and the portable fan and hand warmer operated on batteries. If they used them only for a few hours, their batteries would run out. Sejun presses the buttons on the fan as Theo watches in confusion. The cat merchant gets angry and says that Sejun was lying. Scarum, the person who sold these items to him, said that there was magic inside them. But the fan is about to stop now as the battery has run out, and Sejun points that out to Theo. Theo loses his calm and starts hitting the fan so that it can start working again. He also changes his formal accent to a natural one where he talks more like a cat. And Sejun tells him that he got scammed by that trader named Scarum. Theo is depressed, and he can still not believe it. And Scarum was so kind to him. He starts crying and says that Scarum was a bad goblin. And Sejun notices that Theo has changed his accent. And then the cat starts crying, saying that why did he always get scammed. Sejun tries to comfort him and asks him to tell him about what happened. In the background, the rabbits are checking out the items that Theo brought with him. The sad cat merchant starts his story. He was from the 75th floor of the tower, which was one of the tower's neutral zones. And for the longest time, he had been in love with a cat named Meryl. She was the most beautiful girl in their Granner village. And finally, one day, he gathered the courage to propose to her in front of everyone. As the villagers cheered him on, Theo told Meryl that he liked her and asked her to date him. He presented her with a bouquet of fish, but Meryl did not seem interested. She clearly depicted her disgust at the poor bouquet Theo was giving her. She slapped it away, saying that the smell of cheap rice fish disgusts her. Theo was taken aback and asked Meryl what she was doing. He had worked hard to get those roasted rice fish. But then another shock came for Theo. Someone told him to know his place and asked how dare he try to win Meryl's over. And as Theo turned back, he saw Oren, the son of the richest cat in the village. He was well dressed and carrying a big and beautiful fish as a gift. Oren laughs at Theo and asks that how could he give a low-grade rice fish to a lady. And he says that he should have brought at least a high-quality salmon as a gift. With that, Oren presents the salmon to Meryl, and she looks happy upon seeing it. A flustered Theo says that Meryl doesn't even like greasy food because she is afraid that she will gain weight. But then Meryl speaks for herself and says that the fish was so beautiful. Theo is shocked and heartbroken as he hears those words. Oren has his arm around Meryl now, and he was taking her to his home to enjoy the salmon properly, and she was happy to go with him. Theo tells her to wait and stops her by grabbing her arm. And from his point of view, it is like a scene from a romance drama. He is the handsome but poor protagonist, and the woman he loves is going with a rich guy. Theo asks Meryl about all the moments they shared together and all the memories they made. But Meryl replies that she didn't mean any of it, it was all a lie. But she is shuddering as she says these words, and Theo says that he can see her tears. Could she swear that all that was a lie? He thinks back about the unforgettable days when they used to play in the flower fields. But Meryl angrily frees her hand from Theo's grip. She is angry, and that is the reason why she was shaking earlier. She asks Theo not to get ahead of himself. She just smiled at him a few times, and he got delusional that she liked him. And even though she said that she really did not like him, he kept following her. And in her memories, it was clear that she was running away from Theo because he annoyed her. And then she says that she hates poor cats who smell like cheap rice fish the most. And as she points at Theo, he is left speechless. He falls into the pit of despair. Meryl was taken away by Oren, the son of the richest cat in the town. And Theo ran away crying. He decided to run away from his village and become a traveling merchant with the determination to become rich one day to get his revenge. As Theo has finished telling Sejun and the rabbits the first part of his story, they are nervous and feel bad for him. Sejun feels guilty for scamming him now. Theo says that he even went through the necessary procedure and brought the license and other important stuff required to become a traveling merchant. And that cost him his lifelong savings, worth 50 tower coins. He was planning to buy something to resell from the peddler with the remaining 5 tower coins. And that was when he got scammed by Scarum. Theo was in an inn when a goblin called him and asked him if he was a new wandering merchant. The goblin told him that his name was Scarum, and he asked Theo to ask him if there was anything he needed to know. And being a naive cat, Theo believed him. In the inn, Scarum told Theo about items from outside the tower. He was shocked, and Scarum said that they were really precious and that he was only telling this to Theo. He said that if Theo took these items to the upper floors, he could make quite a profit. The creatures on the upper floors collect such things as a hobby. Theo was curious about why Scarum was selling such precious things to him at such a low price. Scarum replied that it was because he came to like the cat merchant, and this could be considered the goodwill of a senior who wants to train their junior merchant. Then Scarum told Theo that if he did not like the deal, it was not a problem for him. He could sell them to any other merchant. And poor Theo immediately bought the items as soon as he heard this line. Scarum then told the cat that since he was in a good mood, he would also give him a bonus. He handed him a piece of paper and said that this was a map with the location of the new user of the seed store. And since it was a new member, Theo could make a great profit from him if he was lucky. But even that information was not really a bonus. Scarum told Theo that since he had given him good information, the drinks would be on him tonight. And poor Theo accepted this offer and even thanked the scammer. So Theo gave all his remaining money to Scarum and bought these items. He had high expectations that he would be able to resell them for a high price. So he starved himself along the way and barely ended up here. As he tells this to Sejun, he is quite sad. But then he starts rolling on the floor and crying. He says that all of the items turned out to be trash. And on top of that, the customer took his remaining money by trapping him with fish. And he cries that he is not really good at anything. Sejun thinks that the cat merchant was really a pushover, but then he suddenly gets an idea. He remembers something, and that was a way he could use it to gain tower coins. Sejun smiles and tells Theo to calm down. He even offers to eat some roasted fish to cheer him up. But Theo has learned from his mistake and says that Sejun was just going to ask him to pay later. He was not stupid to fall for the same trick twice. But Sejun says that he will really give it to him for free, and he will even consider the 5 fish he ate earlier as just a treat. And Theo looks at him with big, hopeful eyes as he asks if he really meant that. But even this kindness is not for free. Sejun asks Theo if he could work with him in exchange. And as Sejun smiles and asks Theo what he thinks, he has added one more chapter to his diary about getting lost in the tower. He met a partner today who was just a pushover.